Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode, should I say, or special. I'm not really sure what to call it at this point, but we'll go with both. Welcome to the Asian Mint Presents. I'm your host, Naveed Gaglani, as usual. Hello to Terry Signo, who is already in the comments waiting for the show to start. What's up, Terry? Thanks for joining us. Thanks for everyone who are spending their Friday night joining us today. We are joined by Jeremy Williams, born and raised in Chicago, Illinois. So, yes, tell them about how his Bulls are doing great. Congratulate. Oh, we lost Jeremy for a second, just as I was about to do the intro. Okay, so while we're waiting for Jeremy to come back, are you there, Jeremy? Okay, let's wait for Jeremy to return. Some technical issues. Always the way you want to start a stream, clearly. But yes, we are going to talk NFTs. We're going to talk NBA Top Shot. We're going to talk um, doing NFTs full time, joining the industry full time, which is what Jeremy is into. Good evening, Terry. Nice of you to join us. So yeah, let's wait for Jeremy to return. And so right now we are showing the Spotify page of Jeremy's podcast, NFTeach. Jeremy, of course, was an educator. He was rather a principal in a school in Dubai for the last 6 years. He was born and raised in Chicago and then moved to Dubai. Um, and it's no coincidence that probably that his Spotify podcast name is NFTeach. Of course, he's an educator, like we mentioned. And we're going to go into detail about this, what Jeremy tries to do in his podcast, what kind of episodes, streams, recordings that he likes to do. So, in the meantime, let's wait for Jeremy's internet to cooperate, and we'll be back here. Okay. All right, so while we are waiting for Jeremy's internet to cooperate, let's talk a little bit about NFTs first, about NBA Top Shot. So the last few weeks have seen the debut of Series 3 moments of NBA Top Shot. Personally, I did not join some of the drops. One, because the hours were starting to get to me. I needed my sleep. I couldn't stay up till like 2 a.m. for a drop, wait another 2 hours because I was like 50,000 plus in the queue. And two, we've kind of seen a saturation with the market, which we know from previous Top Shot history is one of the ways to make the prices go down. That's why if you guys have seen your portfolios go down a little bit, don't be surprised. That's usually what happens. You know, there are a lot of new moments going around in the marketplace. So we'll ask Jeremy's thoughts on this when he's back. But hey, Zoen, nice to see you. Yes, hope everybody's having a great day. Zoen, of course, Top Shot Collector. I'm sure Terry is too. But I want to hear your thoughts, guys. How do you guys feel about Top Shot, where it is right now? I feel like the hype kind of dwindled a little bit when after Run It Back. I thought Run It Back was had a lot of excitement. Everybody was trying to get a collector score, a certain collector score to make the drops. But not ever since then, it maybe hasn't been as exciting rather. There's been a few showcase challenges. Hello to Dominic Tan, of course, our resident Asian Mint project reviewer. Is a Can we say that? Yes, we can. Hey, to Dominic, of course. Terry, I honestly like the recent Flash challenge. Okay, that's good to hear. Personally, as a Miami Heat fan, obviously I enjoyed it too because of the Dwayne Wade part of it. Um, but the saturation part of it, it's a little bit challenging. Thankfully, though, I think we're not seeing a drop as bad as we did, during the dreaded months of March and April. It's holding steady right now. Hopefully, it goes back up. I will say though, I'm a bit concerned that there's not more hype considering the NBA season has started. We're about 1/5 into the NBA regular season, and the games have been great. Maybe there haven't been a lot of injuries so far. The only main injury is really LeBron. Maybe there's one or two more I'm missing right now. But taking that into account, how players have been active, how the games have been fun. There's been close games every day. There's almost a game to watch. I will say it's a bit concerning that there's not much more hype or excitement for Top Shot. But hopefully that changes. We do know that it is football season. And speaking of foot in America right now, this is the month when football takes over. The NBA really takes over more after the NFL playoffs, which is sometime around February. The next biggest event for the NBA is Christmas, the Christmas Day games, always a classic. But until then, the NFL really is the king in terms of sports in America. And who knows, maybe we'll see Dapper's debut of NFL's version of Top Shot over the next few months. We haven't really heard much about that yet, but if you guys are excited about it, let us know in the comments. Let us know which NFL players' moments you'd love to collect. Honestly, I don't know how much I'd be willing. Probably a lot to get a Tom Brady moment. So we'll see how that goes. OBJ recently went to the LA Rams. Any NFL fans here, make yourselves known. Dominic says, waiting for that legendary deck, the hoops with historic Christmas Day moments. Yes, absolutely. Um, last if you look at the deck the hoops packs and that set from last season, the prices right now for those moments are astronomically high, which makes us regret again not joining Top Shot earlier. But hey, you win some, you lose some. Let's see. Okay. So while we're still waiting for Jeremy to come back, I believe there's still some technical issues with the internet we have to sort. Let's talk a little bit about some of the NBA teams that are performing pretty well to start the season. In the Eastern Conference right now, number one are the Miami Heat, a team that I follow closely as media and as a fan. The Washington Wizards have been a surprise team. Yes, we're checking some of the highlights of these two teams earlier, what they showed. Like, okay, here the shot here by Bradley Beal. That's just special, right? Bradley Beal, that's a guy whose moments I'm surprised isn't worth more. I guess that's what happens when you're playing for a medium-sized market like Washington rather than for a Lakers or a Knicks. Montrezl Harrell with the Wizards now. So yeah, some great moments. We have some great games every day, and hopefully the season continues, and that leads on to Top Shot too. Oh yes, Dominic's Warriors are doing well. You guys are the number one seed, not only in the West but in the entire NBA. Only two losses so far, and that victory against Brooklyn the other day was much of a statement win, as you could say. Steph was just ridiculous. I mean, he was getting MVP chance in the in Brooklyn, Kevin Durant's own arena. So that's insane. Yes, sir. Tyler Hero is a certified hooper. Put some respect. Yes, Zoen, absolutely. I love that thought. I think Tyler, he didn't play today. He hurt his wrist, but I think before he got hurt, Tyler was kind of progressing towards, still is, an all star season. I think you can make a case early on. He's been an all star. Before Butler came back from his injury, Tyler was leading the Heat in scoring. And we're going to see if he can continue it. I hope you guys put money on Tyler Hero for Six Man of the Year because that sounds like a good bet that's going to win. All right, let's see. Let's see. Do we have any update from Jeremy? Okay, so Jeremy is just transferring to a new computer so that he may join the stream. So while we're waiting, we'd love to hear some more of your thoughts. What are your thoughts so far about how the NBA season has gone? Um, are you excited? Which team are you repping? Which team's players are you trying to collect top shot moments of? And maybe in the NFT market, what NFTs are you guys looking at? What NFTs are you all looking to invest on? Anything you plan to mint soon? There's one project coming up soon called The Littles, which personally I'm super excited for. Nah, bro, we want JC to win again. Jordan Clarkson. We'll see. We'll see. It's nice if we have a different awardees every year, but you never know. Of course, Clarkson is good. With Clarkson and the Jazz, I'm just at this point where it's like, you guys gotta get it done in the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, you're good in the regular season, number one seed, you'll be a top four seed, but you gotta get it done in the playoffs. You can't lose to the Clippers without Kawhi Leonard. Come on, man. But yes, we always do support Clarkson. We also support Jalen Green, whose moments Top Shot should promote massively in the Philippines. Speaking of Top Shot, I think it's about time we rally and get the devs to hear us when we say change the time of the drops. Come on, like there's such a big Asian market for Top Shot, and would it hurt to have the drop at like 10 p.m. our time every now and then? Maybe throw us a bone, or like give a specific. I know it sounds crazy, but maybe a drop just for the Asian region, just a certain amount of packs available, so we don't kind of sacrifice sleep in the process. Let's see. It would be nice to see Top Shot get a little more progressive in terms of time zones and time sensitivities for our collectors in other places in the world. Dominic says the littles. Yes, I think Dominic plans to mint the littles too. Um, there's one more project I want to talk about real quick called Space Bugs NFT. they are minting for whitelist tomorrow at 7 p.m. Asian time, and their public sale is 7 p.m. Sunday Asian time. Mint price is kind of expensive. It's 0.13333. So account for gas, it will probably come out to 1.5, 1.6. But there's only about 3,333 pieces of these NFTs that are going to hit the market. They also mentioned in their AMA yesterday that a month after holding a Spacebugs NFT, you will get a free airdrop. So that's progressive in terms of wanting to add to your collection. And who knows, maybe the floor increases fast because the mint price is expensive. We've seen it go the other way as well. But it's going to be interesting. JC, we're trying space bugs, not buds. Bugs. So yes, yes, yes. Space Bugs NFT. Is that the one? Yes, that is the one. So we'll try to show you guys some of the NFTs that Space Bugs are going to come out with. They're more active. Sorry, is that the correct one? Let's see. Okay, let me search for it real quick. Yes, yes. So I don't think that's the correct account. I am going to link us the correct account right now, though, so JC can show it. But yeah, if you guys are in the comments, let us know what other NFT projects you're looking to mint, what you're excited for. Yes, here we go. Space Bugs NFT. As you can see, guys, the exactly. So as you guys can see, the art, that's the reason for making the mint price expensive. It goes beyond just the usual 2D or 3D art animations. And at the same time, too, they're developing a play to earn game for these bugs. So if you're a fan of bugs, if you're a fan of cool looking NFTs, you might want to mint this. Crypto Scores recently also ranked them number one in terms of upcoming project success rate. So that should be something to keep an eye on. Crypto Scores was the same um, website media outlet that ranked Cosmic Wyverns as number one too. And if you guys noticed the other day when Cosmic Wyverns launched, their floor went all the way up to 0.79, which almost hit an Ethereum about like an hour after their launch. Right now it's down to about 0.39 or 49 if I'm not mistaken. And they also have utility like a token that's coming up soon. So Crypto Scores has proven reliable, at least for me. They also have the littles up there on their list. They have some other projects, so you guys do check that out when you can. And why don't you guys do that right now while we wait for Jeremy? Okay, while we're still at the topic of NFTs too, I want to talk a little bit about Divine Anarchy. Did anyone here mint? What I like about Divine Anarchy is that they released or they launched rather when the NFT marketplace wasn't exactly in such a nice spot. We were in a bit of a bear market, but the floor did hold steady, which isn't what I can say for the Horizon Troopers. Horizon draw has dropped all the way to 0.03. Divine Anarchy, though, has stayed in the 0.28 to 0.30 range, already 3,000 in volume traded Ethereum. And if you look at their activity, you just see sales happening frequently. Um, right now, you'll see like an hour ago, 2 hours ago, but during the heyday of American time, every day rather, when sales are hot, you can see sales happening like every 5, 8 minutes. So it's been a pretty fun NFT to hold and monitor. They have a game coming out too, and it seems like the devs are absolutely dedicated to making this game as good as possible. They've added lores and stories and a background for the characters, and different classification of characters depending on your NFT. I want to show you guys actually. I'm going to send JC a link of my Divine Anarchy that I currently have listed, although I might delist that soon. John Clyde, yes, nice artwork. Divine Anarchy, very, very nice. And like I mentioned, they have a game coming out soon. I believe a token too. I'll have to double check that. But no, a lot of excitement. A lot of excitement. I'll tell you what is not exciting. What is not exciting is the offers that we get in OpenSea, which are like way below floor price sometimes. I get so excited to see the email someone has offered something only to see a pretty crappy offer there. But yeah, I like I said, I listed this to see if anyone would bite. Although I might delist soon. I have a good feeling about this project, and we'll see where it goes. All right, so we are waiting for Jeremy. I believe he is a few minutes away from coming back. We're going to talk Top Shot, like I mentioned. We are going to talk NFTs. We're going to talk about his podcast and his decision to shift from being an educator to working in the NFT industry full time. We hear more and more about collectors and people with previous jobs doing this, kind of transferring to the new stage of where the world is going to. Thank you so much. And you know what? If you guys are watching the stream tonight, maybe join me for a glass of wine. It is a Friday night after all. Mm. I don't usually drink rosé, but this looks fun. Let's try it. Mm. Mm. Yeah, nothing like a good glass of wine to end the week. All right. Let's see. Yes, yes. So at the same time, too, guys, we want while we're waiting for Jeremy, we want to mention that we come out with content on the Asian Mint. Our good friend Miss Carla Lizardo recently came out with an NFT 101 series, which you can find on the Twitter profile of the Asian Mint. So if you guys are, cheers, Zoen. Let us know what you're drinking tonight. Uh, so if you guys want to learn about the NFT marketplace, what you have to do to start, what you need, do check out that series. Carla explains it very well. And if you guys are looking for new projects that you might want to mint or check out, do check out my series for the Asian Mint called Shilling with Navs. That's Shillin, Shilling with Navs. We have a video coming out soon, maybe tomorrow, maybe Sunday, but we've got a video about an upcoming project that you will want to check out. So do check out that series, and while you're at it, do search me on social media at Naveen Gangani. I aside from covering NFTs, I also cover sports like the NBA. I do interviews with some NBA players from time to time, and I do podcasts. I have a podcast for Rappler called At the Buzzer. I also have a podcast called The Navs Effect, which is my own personal podcast. So we are coming out with quite a number of content. So do check that out, guys. And I actually am hosting a giveaway right now. If you look at the top of my profile, it's for Sol Raccoon. As we welcome back Jeremy. Hey, Jeremy, what's good, bro?
Oh, Navs. Listen, that was probably the worst possible introduction for you in the history of guests that you've had on, with me just dropping out. I'm good. I'm here. Had some serious tech issues. These are resolved. We are good to go, unless a meteor hits Dubai and shatters the Wi-Fi. I think we're okay from here. So sorry to leave you hanging, man.
No, not a problem at all. I had my glass of wine to keep me company, so that's never good. That's never bad company to have. I want to say hello to Francis Gordo. Francis, cheers to you, brother. Thanks for watching tonight. Okay, Jeremy, welcome to you again, bro. So let's start right away. What made you take the plunge to shift from being an educator and a high-ranking one? You were a principal too. You were a principal, I'm guessing, at a school in Dubai, but you've decided to go NFTs full time. You are a top 1% top shot collector. You host a podcast called NFTeach, which now is at 54 episodes. Congratulations on that.
Hey,
That
thank
is
you.
incredible. So tell us about your story, man.
Yeah. I think for me, I really love education, and it's been my career for my whole, life as an adult. And I think I've always been a creative inside education. And for me, I think the fundamental issue that I had was I really looked at COVID as this sort of potential, this possibility of reshaping the way that schools worked and reshaping the way that education functioned. And, you have the entire economy globally just stop for almost a year and a half. And I think as I saw us coming sort of out of COVID and returning back to normal, I sort of realized that the change was just not really happening in education like I would hope it would. And then I sort of had this moment where I said, well, like if a pandemic isn't going to change this, then what's really going to be the impetus to change this? And I think I just got scared, to be honest, of just like not being able to have the impact as a creative that I really wanted to. And so, I discovered NFTs. The story is pretty well known, but I had a pretty major spinal surgery in December of last year. And then I had a staph infection. And so I was pretty much bedridden and I couldn't do much. And I heard a podcast about NBA Top Shot in February. And I was always teaching students about blockchain. So I was super interested in the idea of blockchain technology. I was not a crypto guy, but I love sports. So this was super interesting to me. So that's what got me down the rabbit hole and got me started.
Awesome. And we're looking at your Top Shot profile right now, and like, I'm totally jealous that Jimmy Butler run back moment you have as a Chicago Bulls fan. I'm sure that's something pretty special. Thank you for Jimmy Butler, by the way.
You're welcome.
He's been an amazing player to watch. We should probably be thanking Minnesota, but yeah.
Yeah.
So Zoe and Dominic are happy to have you. We are all happy to have you here today. So we're seeing more and more of people kind of gravitating to the metaverse, to this new digital landscape. It's starting with collectibles, but we've learned with Facebook's announcement recently and all the upcoming projects that, Top Shot started with the NBA taking the plunge into NFTs, and then ever since, NFL has announced they're getting into it too. And as someone who grew up in America, you know that the NFL is bigger than the NBA in the United States. So there might be more money coming there from the American side of things. And we still are waiting for UFC to join the party too. That's been long announced. And every now and then, left and right, there are new projects for NFTs. There's a Solana's coming up too. There's some in Polygon. Um, my first question for you, as someone who is clearly now all the way in with NFTs, is how do you distinguish what exactly to invest on when you've got options left and right, and especially for those whose funds might be limited?
Yeah. So I am only using house money when it comes to NFTs. And what I mean by that is I'm only using profits off of my initial spend to grow my NFT collection, both in Top Shot and in on ETH. So for me, what the idea of this is that this is supposed to be fun for me. This is not collecting NFTs and day trading NFTs is not how I want to earn an income because it's too stressful. So I think my whole mindset is to enjoy what I'm buying, not overextend myself, and play with house money, meaning use money that I've already taken a 2x out of. So I'm the guy that's much more likely to take a 2x than a 10x. Like I'll take my W and I'll move on to the next. So I'll grab something, and if once it doubles, I'll sell it if I don't want to keep it, and I'll just look to kind of kick that back into buying more things. So I am not the guy that is like your typical bag holder, and I think part of the reason for that is I feel like it allows me to really comment on the space in a way that's not as emotional as someone who's got $600,000 tied into these JPEGs. So
Right.
I am definitely the one who says, spend what you can. Do not overextend yourself. And for me, it's all about playing with house money and not putting any more in, and just using the things that I've sold or flipped to get more. So that's my approach.
Yeah, exactly. Because the number one thing that I myself tell people when it comes to the NFT marketplace is, as much as possible, try to only invest what you are able to lose, what you're willing to lose, because you never know when this thing might crash. Um, so that's one good piece of advice. The second thing that I think people want to know is, what are the basic concepts that need to be understood? Because it's easy theoretically to think, okay, you buy JPEGs and you sell them and you make a profit, right? And you hear that right away. You're like, okay, yeah, sure, let me get into it. But there are intricacies behind it. For instance, number one, there are gas fees. And I think gas fees could tell the difference sometimes of whether you make a profit or you end up with a loss. Number two, Just because you see a floor price in OpenSea for an NFT you own, like let's say 0.1, 0.10, doesn't mean you're gonna sell it, right? You also have to check the activity. Are people actually buying these NFTs? And if the answer is no, then you only have actually a JPEG, and you might not be able to liquidate that eventually. So, what are some of the methods you would advise collectors to keep in mind to avoid, landmines that could potentially hurt them?
Yeah, I think that your first piece of advice is probably the best, which is buy something that if the value of it eroded to zero, you're willing to continue to hold. And I think for me, the other big piece of advice is stop buying shit from anonymous creators. Please, like we've seen this now. We've seen two collections that were extremely offensive and racist come out in the past month. The Baby Ape Yacht Club and then the Jungle House or Jungle whatever that thing was. Like, people are willing to chase these sort of 10x's, and there is a bit of like anonymity involved in who these creators are. And I think for me, that's a huge red flag. Like if I can't find the person who's actually responsible for this community, I'm not as compelled to get involved. And that's why I like Top Shot so much. People complain about Top Shot, but what I like about it is that it's backed by the NBA and it's not going to disappear tomorrow.
Absolutely. And I like that you mentioned Top Shot because I want to segue to that. And by the way, we want to shout out the comment here by Francis Dr. Jeremy. I can attest to the idea that in education profession, it's hard to earn money. Your story inspires me to invest properly. That is awesome. Speaking of Top Shot, um, I have to say I'm a bit concerned about how I feel like there's a lot of hype entering this NBA season. Okay, now we know that LeBron James has kind of been he hasn't really played a lot because he hurt his abdomen early in the season, and we know that if Top Shot is a cake, LeBron James is the icing. You can't have the cake without the icing on top. But we have seen Steph Curry do well. We have seen a number of teams perform really well. I feel like there's
Anyone that you want to
hype.
name in particular, Nav? Any particular team that you want to name that's outperforming everyone's expectations across the entire NBA, or just in general? Whichever you prefer.
Yeah, the Washington Wizards, I think.
Ah, that was not the one that I had in mind, man. What
No, no,
happened?
no. Your Chicago Bulls, respect your Chicago Bulls.
Let's go.
I thought the Vucevic injury would kind of keep you guys back a little bit, but beating the Lakers even without LeBron and the Clippers on back-to-back nights is awfully impressive. Great
Didn't
job.
mean
I
to
thought
derail your question, but anytime I can get some Bulls love, I always make sure to try to squeeze that in.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hey, shout out, man. The NBA's a better place when the Bulls are doing great. Lex says two people I look up to in the NFT space. Thank you so much, Lex. That means the world to us. But going back to the Top Shot question, I wanted to ask, are you a little concerned that the NBA season has started with a lot of excitement, a lot of hype, a lot of anticipation, a lot of teams and players doing well, but it doesn't seem like Top Shot is riding the same roller coaster in terms of anticipation because we've seen prices go down as of late. Personally, I was saying this not too long ago. I didn't even stay up for the series 3 debut. Even if I knew there was a chance to get multiple packs of like an Evan Mobley or some of these new rookies, to me it was just like, man, maybe it's because I already have quite a collection. But to some degree, also, it just felt like the excitement that was there months ago just isn't there anymore. But what's your take on it?
I'm not worried about Top Shot at all in terms of growing, in terms of its longevity. I'm not. Yes, Zoan, I see you. I see you, Zoan. New Bulls fan. Love to see it. No, but I mean, for me, I'm there to collect the Bulls. That's why I'm in Top Shot. I'm in for the in real life utility whenever I end up back in Chicago, and I'm here for that. I'm one of 51 collectors that's finished the Bulls team set now that I have the Jimmy Butler running back. And that is why I'm in this. It is about my fandom. It is not about retiring from Top Shot. And I think that I'm excited for Series 3 because my team is finally good. So for me, like every player on this team other than Kobe White is new, and Zach. So I mean, like my entire collection is going to have to flip. All my Tomas Satoransky S1s are no longer of use, and I have to buy a whole new team. And I couldn't be happier about that because I can get like the Jim Boylan era fully washed out of my mouth and start over. So where I feel like Top Shot has to get better is cleaning up the product. Like we're at a point where we should be expecting them to not get the wrong players in moments. We're at a point where we should have if we're going to have a Tony Parker moment, it shouldn't be a awkward 3-pointer. It should be a Euro step, or it should be something that's much more. Yeah. So that aspect, I think it's very fair to criticize. The polish is not on this product as it should be, but I'm not worried about where it's going to go in the future. What I would say is the real question that I have, and I've not been shy about asking this, and if you look at the Packrip Media thing that we did as a team about the Ask Me Anything that Roham's doing on Saturday, my question is really simple. How does the organizational structure work within NBA Top Shot? And here's why I say that. How in the hell could Roham, with running flow and everything that's going on with Dapper, how could he be running Top Shot as well? To me, it's not possible. There is no conceivable way that this man, this one human being, he is not a superhuman, he is a human being like the rest of us, can manage Top Shot as well as everything in the Dapper universe without there being a clear guy or gal in charge of the Top Shot product. I don't know who the hell that is. Navs, that's my question. Like when some of these things are happening, whether it's like I did not like the 10 packs, and people argued with me on Twitter about this. I'm not telling you need to not like the 10 packs. I'm saying I don't like the 10 packs. I don't like the 10 packs because for me, one, the queue line was slow. Two, it's just for me, I don't know. Get my pack and keep it moving. Yes, if you sell 100 packs is the maximum, people will buy 100 packs. That's because we're all degenerate, insane people who love ripping packs. I would rip a pack literally with nothing inside just because I enjoy ripping packs that much. So I didn't like so some of these decisions I don't get. It doesn't make sense to me. And my thing is the polish is not there as it should be. The product itself is still very good. The flash showcase they did the other night was awesome. It was awesome. It gives you a reason to hold these random these random common moments like a Lou Dortz, which I didn't have. Instead of a trade ticket scenario, now I'm going to hold these random players that I get in these packs because I want to use them for that flash challenge. So I feel like the flash challenge actually turned the corner for them and got them back on track, and excited to hear from Roham tomorrow and see what his take on all this is.
Awesome. So for everyone who's looking forward to that, do make sure to check out Packrip Media, great source for Top Shot news, and see if Roham does answer that question. Roham, maybe he's just Batman, and that's
who's in charge, man. Who's in charge? And I think that it's because I lead organizations and I've led organizations and I know how organizational structure works. I'm going, who is making the decision to do some of these things? Because that at the top, Roham will come out and say, we shouldn't have done this. It should have been done better. Okay, well, whose ass is that is doing this? Who is responsible? And
who is accountable?
Who is accountable? Precisely. And I'm sure internally it's very clear, but externally, I can't imagine holding Roham accountable. If Roham is like super, super, super involved in the minute details of a vintage vibes challenge, Dapper's in real trouble. If that's what he's spending his day doing, it's not a good situation. So no, I want to see who's in charge and what the structure is and how it works, because I'm a leadership geek and I geek out on that in general, but I am not worried about the Top Shot product. They need to clean it up. And that's, I guess, if I had to put it on a bumper sticker, how do you feel about Top Shot? I love Top Shot. They need to clean it up.
Right. Absolutely. Great points, and we will look forward to those questions. I also want to, speaking of questions, I want to open the floor. If anyone wants to ask Dr. Jeremy anything, do just send them our way in the comments, and we will send them to Jeremy's way. You can answer it. You want to ask about Top Shot, about NFTs, about the educational system all over the world, or his Bulls, or his Bears Chicago sports, do feel free to do so. But Jeremy, until we wait for questions to be asked, let's talk a little bit about Aspen. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Aspen is, I'm the VP of community for Aspen. And what Aspen is, let me put it in real simple terms. In the NFT space, we treat possession and ownership as the same thing. Navs, you have a car. You do. If you handed me your keys, would we say that I own your car? No, we would say that maybe I'm possessing the ability to drive your car, but we're not, I don't own it. But in the digital property space, in the NFT space, when someone gets their stuff stolen, we act as if they own it. And that doesn't make any sense to me when we're talking about assets that can be worth 10, 20, 50, 400,000 US dollars. So what Aspen is aiming to do is to separate possession of digital property and ownership of digital property. And you'll notice that I don't call them NFTs. I call them digital property because I think it's really important to reframe the way that we're thinking about these things. These are not JPEGs. I can show you a JPEG. It doesn't have any value. These are pieces of digital property, and we need to treat them with a level of care and respect. And so what we want to do is create the ability to title your NFTs. So Navs is the owner of Bored Ape 1234. And if you want to lend your Bored Ape to someone for 7 days while they go to New York to NFT NYC, and you want to essentially rent out the parties to them, we want to be able to create the sort of commercial transaction possibilities for you to do that in a safe way. Not like what happens in Top Shot now, where someone is going to DM me and they're going to say, "Can I borrow your Giannis?" This happens all the time, right? And we just hope that they're going to give it back, and they do. Right. They usually do. But when we're talking about things that are worth, hundreds of thousands of US dollars, like there should be a better way. And so we create tools that will allow NFT communities to sort of create solutions for when things go wrong. We're not here to tell you what to do if someone gets their stuff stolen. We're not here to tell you how to license your commercial rights to your Bored Ape, but we're here to give you the tools to do this in a clean way, a safe way, and to make this more commercially attractive so that people aren't making fun of us for our cartoon JPEGs. They're realizing that this is actually digital property.
It's interesting because nowadays we talk about how utility is important in distinguishing which NFT projects could stand out compared to the rest, right? So right now it's profile pictures. Maybe you see a picture of your NFT in Times Square. Maybe you print it out, hang it in your room. It's in hoodies. It maybe is a ticket to exclusive parties and events and whatnot. But what are the sample utility for NFTs that you see happening in the future, which makes what you're building with Aspen even more important?
Yeah, well, I think the biggest obvious problem is that you don't have a way to create liquidity out of your NFT. The only way right now to do that is to sell your NFT. So let's say that you need you have an ape that's worth 350,000 US dollars, but if you had $50,000, you could pull that cash out of your asset, and you could, like you would with a home equity loan, you could then buy other NFTs or digital property, and you could ape into the Maurice because you're just sure that they're gonna rip and they're gonna be successful. Like the only way to do that is to sell off assets right now, and that's the sort of thing that we want to start to be able to do. We want to start to create the ability to do commercial transactions on a regular basis with your digital property, especially as it's becoming very, very valuable.
So do you see commercial opportunities in terms of media, in terms of corporate events? Where else do you see these digital properties being assets?
Yeah, I mean, I think that right now we're talking about JPEGs. One of the things that happened at NFT NYC was I was at my Aspen table talking to people, and all of a sudden I hear people screaming. I'm like, what's going on? It was Quentin Tarantino who was on stage announcing that he was going to take 7 scenes from Pulp Fiction and turn them into NFT. So I really think that shout out Domino. I really think the music space, shout out Apin Productions and the Timbaland Project, music, film. Red Ape Family has created their own ape-based sitcom. Like I think these are going to be the ways that it starts to go. But to when you think about licensing an ape for a TV show, you have lawyers and contracts and things involved that. what we want to do with Aspen is give creators the tools to do these things on chain in a safe way, so that it's very clear from a legal perspective how all of this works, what the royalty structure is, what secondary is, and do it for communities the right way, instead of just having your commercial rights for your ape right now live on a website, which is just how it works, So I think that that we're in JPEG land now, we're in profile picture land now, but I imagine that podcasts will become tokenized. I imagine that short films, feature films, video, TV will be tokenized. I think that's, and Pulp Fiction's already getting tokenized. So I think that's going to be the next sort of wave. And I don't think we're going to be in PFP land very long. I think 6 months from now, things will have evolved really substantially toward these other media sources with NFTs.
I like that you mentioned that. And before I continue, I want to say that Lex Barcelona here says, glad to be in Aspen early. Very useful for managing digital properties, of course. And we have a good question here from Zoan, from Zoe, that I want to get to. But before we get to it, it's interesting you mentioned other forms of media, right? Because I'm a writer, okay? I write sports features, sports columns, sports articles. I do interviews with players and I write articles about them. Sometimes I write about video games too, console gaming, PlayStation. Sometimes travel, I branch out. And right now, the process is I write an article and either I post it in a website, a source that I own, like a blog or a medium, or I contribute it to a media outlet and they pay me a certain amount. And for the most part, NFTs have been profile pictures or short videos, GIFs, maybe like an Axo Little is a GIF. And you can stake this, yada yada. But for someone who's into content creation, like myself, a writer, for example, is the NFT space something I'm supposed to look at as a way to maximize the profits for the hard work of creativity that I put
I,
out there? Like, will we get to a point where I can make my articles NFTs for sale so only a few people can read it? It's limited, this and that.
Yeah, I think the question becomes, why do people buy Top Shot moments when they can watch the highlight on YouTube? I think there's room for both of these things to exist in the world. I think that if you are an author or you're a writer and you are creating content, you can have it available for people to read, and you could also stake it, and you could also have a subscription monthly where maybe there's some added utility. Maybe they get a piece of art that's attached to one of your stories. Maybe they get a physical copy of one of the stories you've written. There's a lot of things that could be done in a subscription form, similar to what Patreon has done in the Web 2 space for content creators in the Web 3. And the thing I like about the NFT space the most is that countries that have been typically excluded from participating in e-commerce in an effective way, in an equal way, have the artists anywhere in the world have the ability to create art and sell it at a price that is not based off where they're from or where they're living, but sell it on the price of what it's worth. And I think the same could happen in terms of Web 2 and Web 3 content creators. Right now, if you have 18 million subscribers on YouTube, I would be asking you, what are you doing not having your own tokenized something? You don't think that 4,000 of those people will follow you to your own NFT, video NFT, and buy a copy of your NFT? Come on. And so, the Web 2 world, I don't think is unnecessary, and I don't think it's going to die. But I do think the Web 3 world, if you have a community of 4,000 people and they love you, you could make a living off of your content creation being marketed and sold to those 4,000 people. In the Web 2 world, where you have 4,000 subscribers, you cannot make a living off those 4,000 subscribers that would allow your content to pay the bills. And so I think that is where it's going. It's not an either or, it's more of an and. But it's funny that I don't see content creators taking Web3 seriously yet. But I think that will start to change pretty soon.
Well, that's where it factors in, right? That not everyone in the world knows about NFTs yet. So as panicky as it might seem sometimes, it's also important to mention those who are in the space right now. We are relatively early to it, and we'll
Definitely.
talk a little bit later about where it's progressing in the near future. But before we do so, there's a good comment here by Zoan, and let's preface it with this. A lot of people who might want to invest in the NFT market whether those who want to buy JPEGs, profile pictures, or digital properties, or those who want to sell their stuff, they still need a certain amount of investment money, right? And for some people who might not be working yet, might not have built up, savings over the years, they might have to go to their folks. And when you go to your folks, your parents, they're from a different generation. You tell them there's Web3, there's this new world, the metaverse. They're gonna look at you like, what the hell are you talking about? Sometimes, right? So Zoen here says teaching blockchain or even the concept of NFTs in general to kids is one thing. Teaching it to adults is another. How would you briefly explain the concept to your average adult, say to your folks, parents?
A big arm of what NFTeach is doing. NFTeach is a podcast, but NFTeach is more than a podcast. NFTeach is seeking to aim to educate people across all industries in all countries about what NFTs are. And I think the way that it's really hard to briefly explain the concept. Fungible and non-fungible, you can briefly explain. A fungible token, a $10 bill can be exchanged for two $5 bills, and the value is the same. Where a serial number 121 Top Shot moment is not the same as a serial 120 Top Shot moment. But I think that the problem is you can't briefly explain the concept to your average adult. There are a lot of layers of things that have to get unpacked. What is fungible and what is non-fungible? What is blockchain? Why can't I right-click save as? What is provenance? There's a lot of concepts that you have to unpack. It takes an hour minimum, I think, to get someone who is total normie, doesn't understand the space at all, to sort of get an idea and understand sort of what's happening here. You have a really great NFT 101 resource on Asian Mint. There are a lot of people that are working really hard. Zeneca 33, amazing resources in trying to get into the space. But if you really want to show your parents, if you're trying to convince your parents, start small, invest your money wisely, buy a car with your money, and then drive up to their house and show them I bought this and show them how you bought this, and then they'll believe you. That's a real easy way to get them on board. But all joking aside, I think, the situation is it's extremely complex to explain to someone, and it seems so crazy that you really need to spend an hour to bake in some of these concepts and constructs to people so they can wrap their head around why a CryptoPunk would sell for $450,000. And by the way, I'm not even sure I understand why a CryptoPunk with no commercial rights sells for $450,000. I mean, so there's a lot to unpack.
Absolutely, 100%. Okay, we have a question here that we want to ask you. Where do you see the NFT market 2 years from now?
God, 2 years? 2 years is like 865,112 regular years of life. It's hard for me to imagine what's going to be happening in 2 months. I thought we would have had a bigger bear run, a bigger NFT winter by now. What I can say is one prediction that I would make is that people will stop buying stuff from anonymous people. I think this art chick thing is just like the latest of a scenario that people are just like, what are we doing here? I want to see the creators. I want to hear their voice in describing their vision for the project. And it's that's why a project like the Wanderers, I think, is going to be so successful long-term, where it hasn't 10x'd overnight. But when you look at the way the team is delivering and what they've created and what they're going to create, there's a lot there to sort of sink your teeth into. So I guess my one bold prediction would be people will stop buying from, random anonymous faceless internet person, and they'll want to have a greater connection. I know for me that I'm much more invested in creators and artists than I'm invested in, anonymous PFPs.
Absolutely. By the way, I also want to mention, yes, number one rule, at least for me, when you're investing in NFTs, learn more about the creators behind the scenes, the developmental team. The last thing you want is a rug pull. I myself have been part of those, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Again, also opening the floor for questions for anyone who wants to ask Dr. Jeremy a question. We have a few more minutes with him. So if you want to learn anything about Top Shot, NFTs, the crypto scene, or being a podcast host, all of that, Dr. Jeremy would be a great source to answer your questions. 1 year from now, how does Top Shot look?
I think that Top Shot a year from now, every game there'll be activation happening at the arena. Something will be going on with Top Shot. And I think one cool thing that I would hope would happen would be that you could use your Dapper wallet to essentially pay for concessions, pay for tickets, everything at the stadium. You could be in the stands and you could flip Lou Dortz for $8 and go get yourself a hot dog. Like that I think would be really cool, right? And if we're going to say that it's the currency of fandom, like I think that's a really good way to tie it into the stadium experience. So that would be one thing that I think will be happening. But people love basketball, and we talked a little bit about the NFL. I don't think the NFL is actually going to be as successful as Top Shot has been, for one reason only. No one wants a punter moment. No one wants a kicker moment. No one wants a left guard moment. I do. I played left guard. But the team collection aspect, I don't know how it would work. I don't know if it would just be plays rather than players. I don't know how they're going to structure it. But I think what I like is the aspect of 5 positions on a floor. Maybe there's 12, 13 people on a roster. It's easy to collect the whole team. I don't know how that's going to work in the NFL. So I'm sort of TBD on how I feel about the NFL, but I think Top Shot's going to continue to do well. Do I think that it's going to? The problem is that you have these other NFT projects that are 10xing overnight, right? Crypto Maurice is going to be at an ETH by Sunday, my friend Steve says, and these things are happening. And on the contrast, Top Shot is taking a much more traditional growth arc, up peaks and valleys, ups and downs, and a lot of these moments have lost value. A lot of the Series 1 has lost value. And so I don't know if it's going to attract investors. I think it's probably going to be attracting more NBA fans. And I don't think that Dapper really cares if they're losing the investors from this space and the whales from this space, to be honest. I mean, I don't know. It's not off any inside information or anything, but I think they want to be the currency of fandom. And I think they want in a 17,000 seat basketball stadium that 9,000 people are Top Shot collectors. And if that's your goal, you're not really, you're going to have to scale in a way where it's accessible to, millions of people. And, scarcity is going to be hard to manage when there's millions of people involved. So I don't know. I think it's going to be fine. I think it's going to do well. I don't know if it's going to be a straight upward swing or if it's going to have some hiccups along the way, but I'm super bullish on Top Shot. I really enjoy Top Shot. And again, with my team not being terrible, I'm like enjoying it much more this year. I'm probably the one person who's really happy about Series 3.
Absolutely. I'm sure you are. Okay. So before we call it a night, Dr. Jeremy, any final words, advice in terms of the NFT market? Number 2, investing in Top Shot, maybe some moments you think people should look at. And last but not the least, if there's someone who is considering taking the jump like you did, moving into this space full time, what advice would you give?
Yeah. Wow. NFT advice would be the fact that we can be on a stream talking about JPEG pictures of apes selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars should remind us of the great amount of privilege and how fortunate we all are as human beings. And I think that gets lost in this space. Like the fact that we're even talking about this means that we have food to eat and we have shoes to wear and our kids are safe. And, I think that in all of the drama and all of the comings and goings and the new projects and the old project, I think this is something that gets really lost is like, we're very fortunate that this is even on our radar. Like we're lucky. And in terms of Top Shot, moments that I like, be a fan of a team, collect that team. That is my best advice for you. I like, if you want to talk about a set in particular that I really like, I love seeing stars because it's every star in the league at a 10,000 mint at a really reasonable price other than the LeBron and the KD. The other one would be, I like throwdowns. I can hear the Wolfpack, in the background right now somewhere. But I like Throwdown Series 2. You can get a great moment for a really reasonable price. Alex Caruso's there. That's a good one to start with if you need one. And then if you're thinking about getting into the space, opportunities are everywhere. And I think, what Web3 should teach us is not about having the most followers. It's about having the right followers. So don't focus on Web 2 mindset on growing, think about Web 3 mindset, which is just try to be honest and try to deliver value to the people that are in your community that you interact with. And I think good things will come your way.
Sound advice. Dr. Jeremy, thank you so much for your time this evening. It was a pleasure. Thank you for answering the questions. And I have to say, I myself learned from you today. I got
Hey,
some
thanks,
tips.
Navs. Sorry for the
Thank
tech
you.
issues. Next time we get together, it's going to be so smooth, man. There'll be no issues on my side. I promise.
No worries at all. And hopefully one time we can get together in person too. If ever you do come to the Philippines, or maybe if I do come to Dubai. And also best of luck to your Bulls this season. You guys are off to a great start. There's a nice fun Miami Chicago game coming up where I might send you a tweet depending on the result. We will see.
Yeah, and I
But
might respond depending on the result.
all right, all right. Well, yes. Dr. Jeremy, thank you so much for your time. We hope to hear from you soon. And just know that you are always, always, always welcome in the Asian Mint family and community.
Thanks so much, Navs. Take care and have a good night, okay?
Yeah, God bless. Take care, buddy.
Bye.